Hi, so I'm going to be doing Galileo. Instead of talking about his achievements, I'm just going to talk about some of the philosophical ideas that he brings up in his letter to the Grand Duchess Christina. One of the first things that Galileo establishes, which is very telling of this era of thought, is that there are two classes of people. There are the vulgar and there are the elite people. This talk about, will the public understand this? According to Ken Kieran's, this is a way of thinking that's originated in this time period. So, there are the vulgar unwashed, and then there are the elite, and they are the theologians, the academics, the naturalists. And Galileo says that the naturalist, the role of the naturalist, the scientist, is to decode the universe. And this decoding that he's talking about is actually a form of reverence for him. So when people say that he's kind of the anti-science, that's actually a misunderstanding. For him, understanding God is a way for the naturalist to better understand. The way that the naturalist understands the universe is a way of him to pay credence to God. He draws some distinctions between the way that we understand the Bible and the way that we understand the universe. The Bible, he says, is not sort of chained to its literal words. So it is metaphorical, is a metaphorical text. It's written not to have one singular interpretation, and it would really be, it's not really a very mature way of thinking of the Bible to interpret it in such a literal way. So it's metaphorical and it's mutable. Nature, on the other hand, he says nature's laws are immutable. He says nature cares not a whit whether man does or does not understand her laws. So for him, this study, this is interesting if we consider this against sort of a Neoplatonic backdrop, where things that are permanent, that are immutable, are more, or are better. They're more like the forms. So there's this kind of weird way in which he puts the study of nature up. He's very interested in bringing the naturalist into the realm of the elite, along with the theologian, although he's very careful with his language not to make it seem as though he's doing that. So yeah, nature is not subject to opinion the way that the Bible is, and he quite clearly says that the Bible is subject to opinion, to interpretation. He says that the theologian who interferes with the scientist is doing an injustice, and there's an interesting connection to Plato here. In Plato's Republic, to be just is when everyone does their role, sort of does what they're best able to do. So he says that the theologian who tells the naturalist what he should be doing is a lot like, say, a doctor who tells an artist what to do. There's just, the doctor has no role in that. And so justice is when each person does what they are meant to do. So I'll cut it short there. Aside from his scientific discoveries like the Medicean stars and the bumpiness of the moon, this is sort of the philosophy that is brought up in the letter to the Grand Duchess Christina, where ultimately Galileo establishes the scientist as sort of a member of the elite instead of the vulgar.